Hi, this is Carly, recovered alcoholic. This is North Star Big Book. I am recording one of my mini bonus episodes about how to. So tonight we are going to do how to make an amends. I go over this at great detail in one of the episodes of Into Action. But I wanted to just give a little snippet for someone who just wants to listen to, like, how do I actually do it? So this is assuming that we have done 1 through 8, identifying the problem, the solution, right? So we've got the physical allergy, mental obsession. We can't do this by ourselves. We need to do the work, and the work is on blocking ourselves from God. And what's blocking ourselves from God is all our old stuff, all of our shame and our stories and our guilt and our resentments and our fears and all of it. We identified that with our sponsor. We added the big book. Hopefully they took us through and showed us how to do the inventory properly. We sat down with them in our higher power and we reviewed it. It was probably disgusting like mine was, and it was overwhelming, and it was so much. And we took an hour after and did the hour with our higher power and really reviewed, are we really ready to change? The way that you know if you did your 4th and 5th step properly is after you do it and you do that hour to see if you're ready to change, and you are. And the way that you know you really did your 6th and 7th step properly is if you start doing your 8th step and you're willing to make amends and you go out and make them. So the 8th step is like a half an hour to an hour at the longest. You take the exact same list from the 4th step, all the first column from the 4th step, you make it into an 8th step list. You identify if you're ready to make amends to someone now, later, or never. You pray about it, and then you go over it with your sponsor, and hopefully they help you switch things around. The way to make amends is this. Amends is about repairing damage done. It is not an apology. We do not ask somebody for forgiveness. That is asking somebody to give us something that we might not deserve or that they might not be ready for. The reason why we go to them is to clear away the damage that we've accumulated out of trying to run the show ourselves. We go to them and we ask them to we explain to them that we hurt them, we harmed them. So it's all about identifying what we did. I think for me, the thing that's the most important is to remember that what people want, what I want when I'm wronged, what people want is someone to acknowledge that the way that they were treated was wrong, and that the way that we behaved, they did not deserve. And this is how I do it. I go up to you, so let's say your name is Jane, and I've harmed you. We were in a relationship, whether it was intimate or friendly or family or boss or whatever it was. And I say to them, and first of all, I need to be able to identify with my sponsor, how did I harm Jane? Because if the way I harmed her in my head is I thought mean things about her and I talk badly about her, but she doesn't know, I do not make amends to Jane other than to not do it anymore. Because if Jane doesn't know that I felt that way about her, it's going to harm her more by so doing. So that's like the only time we don't do that. Let's say Jane knows because she was my best friend and I cheated on her boyfriend, cheated on her with her boyfriend, and I stole something from her parents' house, and I embarrassed her, and then I never called her back like a million times, and I just was mean, and I was not a good friend. So I go to her first of all, I contact her however we are communicating, and I ask her if she'd be willing to sit down with me to make an amends. Now, I'm recording this in June of 2020 in the middle of a global pandemic when you're not allowed to sit down with somebody unless you're wearing a mask or you're 6 feet apart. And that's not ideal. However, it is amazingly ideal for anyone who is balking at their 9-step amends, because now there's absolutely no reason to not do your amends, because we can virtually do this anywhere, all over the entire universe, as long as the other person has either a phone or, even better, would be Zoom, FaceTime, any of those things, so you can look at each other's eyeballs. And what I say to Jane is I say, would you be willing to sit down with me for a few minutes to talk about something? If they want to know what you want to talk about, you just are very honest. I would like to sit down with you and make amends for the way I treated you. Sometimes the person does not want to hear it, and I have to be respectful of that. Sometimes they're like, can you just do it now, because I don't want to take time to meet you because they're really hurt, and then you are prepared to do it then. But let's say that they did set aside the time. So you sit down in front of them, and this is how I like to do it. I say to them, I look them in the eyes, and I acknowledge that they're human, and I say to them, I want you to know that the way I treated you was wrong, and you did not deserve that. I want you to know that when I think about it, my heart hurts because I can't believe that I treated you that way. And I know that these words do not take away the way I treated you. And I know that there's nothing I could do to make that go away. But if I could go back, I would. What I want to know from you today is there anything I can do to make this right today? And is there anything that I need to hear from you or you need to say to me so you can feel better or so that you can get free? And then I shut up. And it's all about acknowledging that we harmed them, that we can't go back and change it, but we want to know what we can do to make it right today. I want to address one other thing and then I'll stop. The real reason why I do step 9 is not because I'm a good person. Yes, I would like to know that there's nobody in my life or this planet or that I'm going to run into that hates me. That's not a great feeling. I also would love the feeling of knowing that I don't have any issues with anyone, which is not always true. But the reason why I ultimately do step 9 then and now if I have to, well now it's like in at my 10th step, but the reason why I did it then was because I was under the belief in my concept of my higher power, which I call God. I had this idea in my mind that when we got to see each other, like let's say I died or however that happens, and I finally see God, that the first words out of my God's mouth were not going to be welcome or how was the trip or did you have a good life. They're going to be something along the lines of, did you do everything you could to make it right? And the reason why I believe that is because before I got sober, I harmed a lot of people. And God, like a really good parent, loved me enough to not punish me and give me equal justice for what I did, but gave me mercy. And God said to me, I'm going to give you this bonus time, which I forget my life is bonus time all the time. And I'm going to let you have this time, but you better clean up what you did. And I'm not willing to stand before my higher power and look my higher power in the eyes and say no. So I'm willing to stand in front of anyone, any screen, any virtual whatever, and look someone in the eyes and say, I treated you poorly and you didn't deserve it. And I want to know how I can make it right. It's going to be uncomfortable, but I would rather deal with that discomfort than knowing that I could have made it right and I didn't. Time is short. Life is short. Nothing is guaranteed. I want to be free. And I'm going to read this last part and then I'll stop. On page 80 at the bottom, it says, after consulting with his wife and partner, this is somebody who didn't want to make amends, he came to the conclusion that it was better to take those risks than to stand before his creator guilty of such ruinous slander. He saw that he had to place the outcome in God's hands or he would soon start drinking again and all would be lost anyhow. And I wrote on the side, if I don't do step 9, I will die an alcoholic death. The mental obsession will return. It will haunt me until I do it. If I have a girl I'm working with and she's done her inventories and she's done her amends and she is starting to become cranky and unhappy and depressed, it's usually because she didn't finish her amends list. So I hope this helped you. It helps me to talk about it, and I wish you nothing but the best. Stay safe.